On a late evening, Friday 21st September, Seo-young shares intimacy with a co-worker in a pantry in the building she works in. At some point, she's bent over so her gaze is out the window. Her sight blurs and refocuses amidst the co-worker's thrust and their synchronized pants. The co-worker freezes when a security guard opens the door to peer through. Thankfully, they're obscured by some furniture and the darkness. The co-worker leaves first, taking off in his car. Seo-young's steps echo behind, across the building's empty floor to the main entrance. It'd been raining during their so-called moment of passion, and it's still raining. Clearly, his chivalry didn't last as long as the weather. Seo-young unfolds her umbrella and begins her walk. An inner monologue starts, covering how she's survived another day. The ground feels firmer and makes her feel more secure. The co-worker's car pulls up and she gets in. Oh, okay. Guess chivalry isn't completely extinct then. They hold hands with Seo-young, keeping her eyes on him in an adoring manner for most of the journey of the car ride. Seo-young arrives home and gets a call from her mom. The mom checks up on her, asking if she's home from work and has something to eat. She also asks if Seo-young is finding her environment conducive, as it's been a year since she moved out from her mother's care. The mom comments that Seo-young was actually really eager to move out from under her care, but Seo-young doesn't want to entertain such comments. Seo-young asks about her mom's husband, and it opens up a string of emotions of how he's just another bad luck she's ended up with. The latest case is that he got a coat for himself with their money, and now she wants to clarify if Seo-young will be receiving her bonus pay soon. Seo-young promises to send money across should her mom need it. Then she crawls into bed soon after, still in her work clothes, her mom stating it's late and she should get some rest. It's another rainy workday, but it's marked as the seasonal rain front retreating. Seo-young gets to her workstation and makes a cup of tea. At her desk, she starts up her desktop for work. A co-worker needs her assistance with a job he'll need delivered back to him before the late afternoon, and Seo-young affirms she'll get it done. The vertigo starts to set, and her environment starts to blur and realign. She stays immobile during the process. Her tea is untouched, and so is her work for the day. Her pen rolls off the desk, and she slowly bends to retrieve it. Her dizzy spell makes her falter with a sound, attracting the concern of another co-worker. Seo-young attends a staff meeting led by Jin-soo, her rendezvous from earlier in the movie. He concludes the presentation with a promotional piece. They have one more meeting in tow, of the completion of a new version of their product to present to Japan, and Jin-soo will be in Yokohama in 2 weeks to that effect. It's lunch break, and Seo-young is in the building's cafeteria, seated with other female co-workers around a table. The co-workers are fangirls of Jin-soo. Their conversation picks up with one of them wanting to know what color of tie Jin-soo wore to work. Apparently, they've placed a bet, and one of them has to pay up. The next curiosity is what he brought for lunch. 2 of the women ready to place another bet. A third party calls out their delusion, stating that Jin-soo won't give any of them the time of day. Every woman in the company won over him, she excluded. He's a divorced man who's not her type. The conversation continues to revolve around their boss and questions about what his dating life is like. One of the women admits to stalking him so she would know if he's seeing someone, which he isn't. Seo-young decides she can't stomach any more of the chatter and excuses herself. Seo-young goes for a medical checkup, and the doctor recommends that she doesn't pick her ears often. Seo-young goes to visit her friend, Yadam, who complains bitterly about her working experience with her boss. The man is unprofessional with his tasks for her. The tasks can be too personal, and it makes Yadam angry. But she has no choice. Contract workers like themselves have little to no say in their job function. Sometimes their primary assignment isn't enough, and they need to get involved in personal activities with their bosses to secure results. Yadam tries to be lighthearted about it, telling Seo-young she's taking dance lessons, should the skill be needed at a dinner party with one of her bosses. She goes on to show Seo-young some of the moves she's learned. Seo-young goes to Jin-soo's house and sits by his side while he works. She stares at him admiringly, the same intensity as when they were in the car the previous Friday. Jin-soo wants to know why he's deserving of such attention, and she replies, it's because he's good-looking. She asks if he knows that he's popular, and he feigns ignorance. She wants to know when he'll introduce her to his son, and Jin-soo deflects with a joke about his son already having a girlfriend. Good work, Jin-soo. We laugh too. It's a new day at work, a sunny Thursday still in September. Jin-soo and Seo-young share the same elevator with some other co-workers. The secret lovers are close to themselves, but Jin-soo acts stoic, like he doesn't know Seo-young. Workers have just filed into the workstation when an announcement comes in that exterior window cleaning will begin that day, and workers shouldn't be startled by the cleaners. They'll likely see outside the window view. The announcement recommends they use window blinds if needed, and one person has already thought ahead, pulling down a window blind. Seo-young has lunch with Jin-soo. She meets one of the women from her previous fangirl lunch break, the least delusional, and the woman asks who she had lunch with. Seo-young lies that it was with Yedam, but the woman mentions that can't be possible because Yedam was at their table. She teases Seo-young about being secretive, guessing she is out with a man. The colleague wants to know if Seo-young will be coming to the company's picnic. Yedam will be there. Seo-young is all nervous at the station and has to take pills to calm her down. She decides to confront her issues by edging close to a window, offering a plunging view. She can feel the vertigo already starting to set in, but she keeps pulling forward. She jumps back when a cleaner suddenly dangles over the window and starts to clean it. She watches him swipe about with his brush and watches long enough to see him nearly have an accident. He almost loses the brush, and in an attempt to catch it, looks like he'll be free-falling himself. Luckily, the rope system attached to him keeps him in check and he's able to pull himself upright. Seo-young tries to get her nerves in check, panting and trembling as the young guy continues his work, a smile playing on his face, as if it were all a stunt. Later that night, Seo-young's mom calls to gush about her dog who just gave birth. Seo-young doesn't appreciate being woken from sleep at such an hour to be told such a trivial thing, and the mom huffs, reminding Seo-young that she's yet to do the money transfer as promised. Seo-young makes an excuse about being busy and states she'll get on it by the following day. The picnic is happening. It's a Saturday with no rain, but cloudy periods. Colleagues have a game of dodgeball after their meal, shared into 2 teams, both eager to win. Seo-young plays well. She catches the ball and throws it in Jin-soo's direction. He's not as quick, meaning his time is up. Jin-soo escapes with Seo-young from the picnic activities, and they have an intimate session in the privacy of an empty building. Later on, Jin-soo is smoking a cigarette when Seo-young approaches him, wanting to know when he's leaving on his business trip. It's set for the coming Monday, and Seo-young wishes she could go with him. She's never been to Japan and hasn't even been on a plane. She'd like to travel somewhere far away, the opposite end of the earth perhaps, and Jin-soo tells her the opposite end from where they are should be Argentina. Seo-young and Jin-soo can imagine a different lifestyle over there, and Seo-young seeks to know if Jin-soo will ever take her there. He holds her close and affectionately in response. On a sunny and clear Wednesday in October, Gwon-woo, the external building cleaner and repairer Seo-young, is on the building's roof with his fellow workers and his supervisor, who gives out instructions. Seo-young is in a staff meeting, but can barely concentrate. The voices around her become muffled, and she's zoned out until someone works the blinds and light streams in. Seo-young sees Gwon-woo again, cleaning the glass. He does it diligently but with a grimace at some point, as it seems staying upright takes a toe on the back. Seo-young watches him again, and a colleague has to bring her back to earth. At the doctor's, she relays that the dizzy spells are getting worse. She hears a strange noise from within her ears, and often feels suffocated like she's inside a vacuum. Seo-young and Yedam are leisured outside the building, Yedam enjoying her lunch, and Seo-young staring up at a cleaner. There's a scuffle at the entrance to the building, and their heads turn to see Jin-soo, and an angrier second man, who pushes off Jin-soo and calls him a coward before storming off. Jin-soo notices the women staring in his direction, and they bow in greeting. He returns it and heads inside. Seo-young is on a train when she rings a number that doesn't pick up. Gwon-woo retires home with a carton of milk and a video of a cam model, advertising exclusive content for paying viewers. Seo-young is at home too, watching a movie with a scene of a couple tangoing in the streets. She tries the number again, but it reports back, switched off. At work, Jin-soo is in his office, on an official call, speaking English with the receiver. They make arrangements for their meeting, including talk of where they'll go for lunch. On his mobile phone, Jin-soo gets a text from Seo-young who wants to get together for lunch. He types back that his afternoon is booked and he'll have to work overnight. He'll get back to her when he's less occupied. Seo-young puts her phone aside and gets back to work. Afterward, Seo-young goes to a bookstore on a different floor in the multi-purpose building she works in. A mime sits like a statue on an elevated shelf just at the entrance, and Seo-young has seen him before on a previous visit, but pays no attention to him now. He watches her go about her business, and when she leaves, he checks out the book she'd purchased and forgotten on the counter. He traces her to her workplace and gains entrance, searching faces until he finds her. She leaves her station and goes to the boardroom with other staff for a meeting before he can call her attention. With his mime makeup cleaned, the audience can see the mime is Gwon-woo. Seo-young returns back to her desk and finds her forgotten book with a friendly note, informing her she forgot it and that he's also left something for her headaches. Seo-young shows Yedam the note, and they muse together on who could have left it. Gwon-woo goes to the restroom to reapply his mime makeup while Seo-young is at her desk, texting to know if Jin-soo is free now. He texts her back that he still has a lot to do, and she should head home first. From her desk, she can see him juggling papers, signifying he's very much still occupied. October 5th. Weather promises strong winds and afternoon showers, but Guanwu and his colleagues are on the roof regardless, set to start the day's work. The team leader of the Yokohama team, over lunch with the team members, acknowledges they've done a fruitful service so far. One of the colleagues states it was Jinsu's diligence that made the Japanese client so receptive to the product. And Jinsu mentions the project isn't over yet. He still has a meeting to attend that coincides with Thanksgiving, but it's fine because he claims he has no family to spend Thanksgiving with. They have an office party with karaoke, drinks and music to dance to. After that, Jinsu wants to head home, but his male co-workers convince him to a game of pool. The women want to go for highball, but Seo Young turns down the invitation, excusing that she's already fagged out. They insist, but she's able to stand her ground and bids them a good night. She walks in the opposite direction, passing a group of homeless-looking and intoxicated men. Guanwu is part of them, but suddenly excuses himself for the rest of the night, wanting to head back home. Seo Young goes to an eatery called Vertigo and calls Jinsu, hoping they can meet up there. Jinsu turns down her offer, and she asks why he's avoiding her these days. All she wants to do is spend time with him before he goes away on his business trip. He's cold and detached, hammering he has work to do, and she should leave the eatery and go home. She tells him she misses him and insists she'll wait for him, but he tells her not to. Guanwu is a seated throw from her and has overheard the conversation. Seo Young goes to a bar and starts drinking. Guanwu watches her from a distance, like a guardian angel or a stalker. A man comes to sit next to an intoxicated Seo Young and introduces himself as Malcolm. His intentions are to have a rendezvous, and drunk Seo Young doesn't mind. Her phone buzzes twice with calls from Jinsu, but she doesn't notice. Malcolm takes her hand and starts to lead her away, but Guanwu interferes by pretending to be drunk and spilling a drink on Malcolm's clothes. Malcolm is upset, but just wants Guanwu to step aside so he can enjoy the rest of the night with his catch. Guanwu stays very much in the way, earnestly apologizing for his clumsiness while Seo Young starts to stagger away from the drama. Life returns to mundane activities, Guanwu eating with his family and cleaning after. Seo Young, at her own end, has a meal while calling her mom. Seo Young is just checking up on her as it's Thanksgiving, and the mom divulges how she's spent it. Seo Young apologizes for not spending Thanksgiving with her, but the mom waves off her apology, stating they can meet up at any time. The conversation is cut short when her mother's husband comes home, angry that he's met a full house. On October 15th, a sunny day, Seo Young came to work earlier than everyone else. During their meeting, their team leader reported that there had been some theft recently. The tech lab on the 39th floor reported their router is missing, and maintenance will collect all of the CCTV footage they have and scour through them to find the culprit. In the meantime, the team leader urges everyone in their company to be more mindful of their belongings. Seo Young starts having an episode as the meeting adjourns. She ends up throwing up in the toilet bowl in the restroom. Seo Young goes to the doctor, who informs her she has damage to the auditory nerves and it's causing equilibrium problems. He recommends medication and tinnitus retraining therapy. She should also consider wearing a hearing aid. Seo Young shows Yedim the hearing aids, and Yedim advises her not to wear them at work. Her reason is because their contract is up for renewal, and she's sure the management will nitpick on the smallest things to cut down on workers. The women catch up with the elevator ride, and Guanwu shares the same space with Seo Young. The doors open up on their floor, and they hurry out, leaving an unnoticed Guanwu behind. Guanwu takes his aged father to visit the gravesite of his late daughter and Guanwu's sister. Guanwu recalls visiting her at her apartment on her birthday with a gift. He was in his military uniform and mentioned he was only on vacation for the day. His sister was a cam model who didn't plan to venture into it for the long term. She just wanted money to start up a cafe and offered Guanwu a job there after his military service. Seo Young is called into Chief Kwan's office, and he asks if she'd like to keep working at the company as her contract renewal is currently under review. She replies that she would, and he remarks he put in a good word for her. There's only one spot for a contract designer, and this shocks Seo Young. Seo Young sets up the boardroom for a meeting. Yedim is there as well, wanting to know how her discussion with Chief Kwan went. Yedim relays that Chief Kwan is a womanizer and has hit on numerous contract workers in the past, including herself. She warns Seo Young to be careful around him. Seo Young comes to work early. Jinsu is in his office, but no one else is around. They both ignore each other and face their workload. Later on, Seo Young sees Jinsu getting queried. He's eventually released, and he fumes back to his office. Yedim comes and calls Seo Young for lunch. Seo Young is lost in thoughts and excuses herself from lunch with Yedim. Jinsu's resignation is put on a notice board for everyone to see and speculate. His reasons for resigning are tagged personal. Seo Young overhears some male colleagues discussing Jinsu's situation. He was caught on camera stealing. Chief Kwon confirmed this from the compiled CCTV footage. He was also caught on camera having sex with a man. Seo Young hides in a room and cries, but comes out just in time to witness Jinsu leave the company with his belongings. The secret lovers meet at Vertigo, but the details of their conversation are not revealed. Seo Young deserts Jinsu with an inner monologue, a question to the universe on why it had to make her the victim. Seo Young finds her mom in her apartment. She's taking a breather from her husband with whom she had a fight. She states she'll only squat for a few days, wanting to give her man space to reflect and miss her. She remarks that Seo Young doesn't look pleased to see her even though it's been quite a while since she last saw her daughter. Seo Young's mind is too preoccupied for an answer. Seo Young and Yadam want to join their female co-workers for lunch, but they file out on their arrival with an air of disassociation. That's surprising, because Yadam and Seo Young have no idea what they've done wrong. Meanwhile, the cleaners are having lunch on the building's roof. One of the cleaners chastises Guanwu to be careful and more focused when working. He dropped something on accident earlier, and the cleaner strikes that Guanwu could have fallen and left his already grieving father in more despair. Seo Young's mom is still around, and she pours her daughter a drink over dinner. Seo Young asks her if she's in contact with her dad, and the mom expresses hate towards the question and her father. Seo Young isn't in contact with her dad either, and her mom warns her to keep things like that. She reveals he hit Seo Young so hard that it ruptured her eardrum, and knowing this, Seo Young really shouldn't be asking about him. Seo Young's mom goes on to say her father ruined both their lives, and Seo Young's next words are a total shocker. She feels her mom always plays the victim and lacks accountability, always blaming someone else for her misfortune. Her mom is baffled and in tears hearing Seo Young talk like that, but she's only begun. Seo Young mandates that they cut contact with each other. The mom calls her an ungrateful B-word and agrees to leave her alone for good. By November, Seo Young turns in for work on a fateful day. Her Vertigo episode lasts for minutes at stretch, and she doesn't initially hear Chief Kwon call her for a meeting. Seo Young continues to act strange, even when she's approached by a concerned Yadam wanting to know what's wrong. She walks out on her friend and basically floats out of the office space and about the building, in search of somewhere to break down in tears. Seo Young returns back to her desk and finds a note asking her not to cry. Chief Kwon, the co-worker who witnessed Guanwu's near accident, and a security officer, comes looking for Guanwu at the storefront where he works as a mime. They confront him with CCTV footage of him trespassing in the company, needing an explanation, and threatening to charge him. He didn't steal or assault anyone though, but Chief Kwon doesn't care. Guanwu remarks he was curious, and this causes a shouting match between Chief Kwon and Guanwu's co-worker. Seo Young also happens to be on the floor, in one of the stores trying to purchase something. At work, Seo Young is at her desk when she notices Yedam walking away, looking distressed. She follows her friend to a stairwell where she breaks down, while announcing that her contract with the company is over. Yedam is so devastated that she doesn't even know how to break the news to her mom. Back at home, Seo Young's mom calls her to complain bitterly about her life. She's drunk and ill, and has no money to purchase medication. She's losing the will to live, and reflects on how miserable her life has turned with the decisions she's made, most attributing to men whom she warns Seo Young to be weary of. Seo Young promises to send her money for some herbal medication to make her feel better. The mom ends the call after her complaints have yielded the results she wants: money. Seo Young notices the mime's seat is empty. She'd noticed it was empty too on her previous visit to one of the building's stores. She sees people gathered and goes closer to know what's happening. Medics are taking away the corpse of a contract cleaner who recently just got fired, according to hearsay. At lunch, Seo Young is sat alone. Not long after, staff get out of their seats to take photographs of something. More people's attention turns, and Seo Young reluctantly turns too. Guanwu is at the window creating graffiti that spells, "Cheer up." A wave of emotions overcomes Seo Young, and she starts sobbing. So much for motivational messages. Guanwu falls asleep with his dog in his arms. A cam video of his sister under the alias, Gina, is still playing through on his laptop. November 10th is a bright and sunny day. It's also a weekend and Seo Young turns in for work. Chief Kwon joins her and she's surprised to see him. Guanwu's supervisor helps him gear up. Guanwu's assignment is to fix a broken lamp on the 40th floor and return to the roof with no shenanigans. The supervisor advises him to think of his safety and stop goofing around. Guanwu is also warned not to go peeking in the offices. Seo Young is in the pantry and Chief Kwon walks in, commenting, "She's a hard worker for showing up on a weekend." He then brings up Seo Young's secret. He knows she was involved in sexual acts with Jin Soo. It was all in the CCTV footage. Seo Young fumbles with her words, wanting to get away, but Chief Kwon blocks the exit. He wants a taste of Seo Young's daring side. Seo Young tries to negotiate. She'll pretend he didn't come on to her if he lets her be, but Chief Kwan doesn't do well with being threatened. He reminds her he has the upper hand, and then tries to force himself on her. The two tussle with Seo Young, getting in a few offensive strikes at her perpetrator. Chief Kwan gets more enraged and lands a slap that makes Seo Young lose balance. She sinks to the floor, faces bleeding and ears ringing. All sounds go mute, and Seo Young is totally dazed, even as Chief Kwan continues to violently shake her to get any form of reaction. Guanwu witnessed the altercation, and in a fit of rage, started slamming at the window repeatedly, first with his fist, and then with a spanner. Both are of no use, and Chief Kwan leaves Seo Young alone in the pantry bloodied and broken. Seo Young picks herself up and washes as much blood as she can in the restroom. She goes to the roof where Guanwu is being yelled at and asks him to take her down. She slaps him after she gets him to admit that he's been watching her, and then she insists that he takes her down. The supervisor huffs but puts the two of them on a suspended scaffold, lowering them to a couple of floors. Seo Young is too scared to open her eyes and keeps them shut. Holding on to Guanwu's arm, Guanwu soothes her with his words and encourages her to open her eyes. She bravely does so to see the picturesque scene of the setting sun, glistening gold on the sea. She leans into Guanwu's embrace, and he asks if their view isn't a beautiful one. Seo Young sneakily removes one of the safety hooks and leaps off the scaffold. She starts to free fall until the other end of the rope halts her, leaving her dangling precariously in midair. Guanwu pulls her back up with much effort, promising she'll never fall. When she's close enough, she captures his lips in a fierce and hungry kiss. She's still somewhat dangling, and he's holding onto the scaffold for support. Seo Young has an inner monologue about seasons constantly changing. She acknowledges their kiss is a long one, and now she's ready to go back up.